The great transcendental lecture with Srila Prabhupada. The sounds grew louder, and Prabhupada smiled in welcome as Shastri entered the room in a cloud of frankincense, the reverberation of the conch temporarily drowning out our conversation. It was an impressive ritual made more so by Shastri's ability to both blow air through his mouth and suck it in through nose at the same time, thus keeping the conch blowing uninterruptedly for several minutes. Habt ihr euch verstanden, was passiert jetzt? Es gibt diese Devotee Shastri, hat Muschelhorn geblasen. Und dann, aber er konnte diese, wie sagen wir, Fähigkeit, er konnte durch Nase einatmen, aber gleichzeitig er ist, wie sagen wir, aufgeblasen. So. Und Muschelhorn war ein paar Minuten, man kann können, ein paar Minuten Muschelhorn, ohne Pause. So. This is interesting. He walked around both rooms, waving a bamboo fan over his clay bowl to disperse the fragrant smoke. It also acts as an effective mosquito repellent. After a couple of minutes, he respectfully backed to the door and continued his nightly round. The puja triggered Prabhupada's remembrance of his time in Allahabad, 1945. He told us he was paying only 200 rupees for a whole house then. 200 rupees. Now it's what, one room is 3,000 rupees or 4,000 rupees. One room to rent. But the place was famous as a ghostly haunted house. Ghostly haunted. Nobody would rent it, but Prabhupada took, I don't care for ghosts, he said. Actually, there was a ghost, and all the servants were there. They met the ghost. But I was chanting, Prabhupada says. So the ghost was there walking, and Prabhupada said, Hare Krishna. Later, Madhudvisha Swami and I sat with Prabhupada as he talked about how British knew the art of ruling. But given Indians' control as supervisors, they were able to rule a large, populous continent with only a few thousand men. In general, the Indians appreciated them, but after innocent people were shot in the anti-British rally in Amritsar, Gandhi's movement was able to gain momentum, and the British lost their respectability. Speaking about the governments in general, Prabhupada said that even a bad or demoniac government are allowed by Krishna in order to punish people for sinful activity. This is interesting that Prabhupada said even the bad government Krishna allows, because when the government is bad, these people who are punished actually burning their sinful activities. So we should also think like this: if there's some injustice happened to us, that we should think, I actually deserve this. It's good for me to burn my sinful activities. We should not think, no, this is what is going on. But we should understand, this is actually, I'm burning my sins. Srila Prabhupada ki jai ho. Prabhupada is back. He explained that Krishna is behind everything. He emphasized this point by playing back to us on dictaphone some of his latest translation work from the 7th canto, in which he was making the same point. Madhudvisha Maharaj also asked a few managerial questions regarding Fiji, ISKCON Fiji. Deoji Punja, this is the person who was instrumental in establishing ISKCON there, is chanting the Mahamantra and following the 4 regulative principles. He is channeling money from his supermarket and other shops into building a Krishna temple. But meanwhile, he is still selling meat and liquor in the stores. Madhudvisha expressed uncertainty about whether to tell him to cease such sales or not. What do you think what Prabhupada answered?
Continue if you feel like
Maybe Madhva was there.
maybe, yes, as mentioned, continue like. In his shop, maybe he don't allow that one, selling meat. But if it is a job, like for example, if a person is working in Lidl selling all the products.
Yes.
Then Prabhupada says that you can work in Lidl. So in that way, I am thinking about
Yes. There's actually a verse in the Bhagavad Gita What do you think? Noah. Aber hast du verstanden, was ist passiert hier? Du hast nicht verstanden. Was ist passiert hier, ist ein Devotee in Fiji, in der Insel Fiji, in ein Inder, er hat Business gemacht. Und er ist Prabhupads Schüler geworden. Und er hat 4 regulierende Prinzipien gefolgt und gechantet, ich glaube 16 Runden, ist das gesagt? 16 Runden. Aber, und dann alles, er hat Business gemacht und alles, was kommt von Business, er hat investiert, einen Tempel zu bauen für Krishna in Fiji, Insel. Aber der Punkt ist, Madhudvisha hat gefragt, er ist in dieses Business, er verkauft Fleisch und Alkohol. So das Geld kommt von diesem. Dann Madhudvisha hat gefragt Prabhupada, ob das okay ist oder nicht, oder was Prabhupada hat geantwortet. So das not possible. So Prabhupada said, he should be allowed to continue and not forced to give it up. He quoted Bhagavad Gita 1848. Could you read 1848, please? 1848, Bhagavad Gita. Made normalerweise.
Eight.
1848.
Every endeavor is covered by some fall, just as fire is covered by smoke. Therefore, one should not give up the work born of his nature. O son of Kunti, even if such work is full of fall.
This is Prabhupada's reply. Prabhupada even quoted this verse. So which is interesting, that even whatever we do in Krishna consciousness, it's supported by the Shastras. Of course, it doesn't mean now, okay, I can start a business now, but if it's already your occupation for many, many years, Prabhupada says you should not force to give it up. You cannot force it now. There was another instance of another businessman in India. He said, he asked Prabhupada, he was actually involved also in some business, but there was also meat involved. And he asked Prabhupada, should I give it up and start another business? Prabhupada says, no, you are earning for your family, just keep it for now. So, again, it doesn't approve, Krishna consciousness is not a fanatical movement, But at the same time, we are not now approving or endorsing, okay, now we should all do business selling meat and alcohol, no. But if you're already doing this, your family business for many, many years, 30, 40, 50, you cannot just give it up now. But eventually you have to give it up. And ultimately you have to give it up when you take vanaprastha, take sannyas or whatever. So this is interesting educational point here, what Prabhupada says. So it's also good to know for our devotees, because sometimes we have to engage in some nefarious activity, as he said. You have to work for Lidl. So you don't want to sell meat, but somehow you have to carry these boxes or whatever. So you think, okay, every work is covered with some fault. But of course, if they ask you to work in the butcher department, you just say no, absolutely not. But sometimes you have to do, in order to earn money. But eventually, you can also change your profession nowadays. This is not so difficult. Because even if you do things which are apparently not directly connected to meat or whatever, your action, like for example, if you work for a bank, you think, well, I'm working for a bank. But this bank is investing this money of their customers into wars, into slaughterhouses. So you are indirectly involved with these sinful activities. So therefore we should choose the bank which is called Ethic Bank. I am actually a member of Ethic Bank. You have a bank which asks you, how would you like your money to be invested? So you said, you want to have green energy or vegetarianism, and you said no meat, no war, no. So they don't invest your money into these kind of things. So at least something. Because even if you work some other thing for the company, like if you work for a company who create autos, This is the Ugra karma, actually. You're contributing to the Ugra karma of the material world. They're producing tires. Tires are impossible to digest. Earth cannot digest auto tires. So this is all going to pollute the earth, and pollution to the earth with the cars. So you actually contribute, although you don't personally, you're just typing something or whatever you do. The real thing, you're actually contributing also, you're participating in the pollution of the earth, so which is a sinful activity in itself. But every activity is covered by such smoke. And therefore, every person who is grihastas is advised to give donations. Because by giving donations, not only the temple needs money, temple do need money, but the point is that you, by giving donation, you purify your earnings also. It said that the grihastas should actually give donations. The main qualities of grihastas is to give donations and to invite sadhus for programs or for lunch and things like this. This is the main how you say activity of grihastas, because by inviting people to your home, you sacrifice they're blessing your home basically. You invite sadhus to bless your home. We just said in India, when we were in India, we've been invited by family, but it was difficult for them. So they cooked in their home, so they brought to our place. And they serve us like as we are in there. We were in our apartment, but they brought these pots, whatever, South Indians cooking. And they distributed to us. They were standing there distributing, would you like anything else? Would you like anything? So I said, well, we are in our house. Because here in the West we eat together. So no, we are serving. So this is the activity of a householder. So it's not bad to give donation actually. To give donation, you get benefited, although you may apparently lose. But it said this it's very difficult for a rich man to give money away. This is like a heartbreaking. If you have money to give to somebody, you think like, oh no, I'm giving my money. And for the poor people, it's very easy to give donation. Somebody made a survey once for the called grassroots fundraising. You know what grassroots fundraising is? Nee, das ist ein Anspruch. Grassroots Fundraising bedeutet, dass ich frage für Geld jede Tour, alles. Nicht nur, es gibt, wie sagt man Fundraising auf Deutsch? Ich weiß nicht, wie heißt das Fundraising? Ja, Fundraising. Ja. Gibt's Fundraising, you approach the business people, you approach the companies, can you give, because every company wants to give because of the taxes or whatever, especially if you're a religious organization, they give because to release the taxes. But grassroots means you go door to door and ask, would you like to give for this cause? Would you like to give to this cause? So they call it GoFundMe nowadays, GoFundMe online. So they made a survey and they found that mostly people who they gave is from the poor countries. Because for them, they don't care, they're not so attached to money. But the rich men are very attached. Oh, it's my money, I'm earning. The more the richer country, the more difficult it is to give. The more richer person, the more difficult it is to give. Anyways, what sind wir? Prabhupada. Okay, one more time. 1848. Every endeavor is covered by some sort of a fault, just as fire is covered by smoke. Therefore, one should not give up the work which is born of his nature, O son of Kunti, even if such work is full of fault. Prabhupada expressed confidence that if he is chanting Hare Krishna, these things will soon be properly adjusted. You see, Prabhupada had a faith in the process of Krishna consciousness. And he had a faith that if people chant Hare Krishna, Krishna will arrange somehow or other for people to, either some arrangement will happen or something will happen that the devotee will not be engaged in sinful activity anymore. Krishna will arrange. So, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I'm reading from this great literature called Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Wo sind wir? 109?
Ja, 109.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Agya Deha Nila Chale Kariya Gamana. Agya Deha Nila Chale Kariye Gamana. Madhya Madhya Asi Tomaya Diba Darshana. Madhya Madhya Asi Tomaya Diba Darshana. Agya Deha Nila Chale Kariye Gamana. Agya Deha, give permission. Nila Chale to Jagannatha Puri. Kariye, I do. Gamana, going. Madhye, Madhye, sometimes. Asi, coming here. Tomaya, to all of you. Diba, I shall give. Darashan, audience. After thus instructing the devotees, the Lord asked their permission to go to Jagannath Puri. He assured them that in intervals he would come there and meet them again and again. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, offering due respects to all the devotees and smiling very mildly, bid them farewell. After requesting all the devotees to return home, the Lord decided to go to Jagannath Puri. At that time, Haridas Thakur began to cry and speak some pathetic words. Haridas said, Nilachale yabitumi mora kongati, nilachane yaite mora nahika shakati. You are going to Jagannath Puri and that is all right, but what will be my destination? I am not able to go to Jagannath Puri. Purport, although Haridas Thakur, Srila Haridas Thakur was born in Mohammedan family, he was accepted as a properly initiated Brahmana. As such, he had every right to enter the temple of Jagannath Puri, but because there were some rules and regulations stipulating that only Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras, members of the Varnashram Dharma system, could enter, Haridas Thakur, out of his great humility, did not want to violate these existing rules. This is unglaublich. He therefore said that he did not have the strength to enter into the temple, and he pointed out that if Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lived within the temple, there would be no way for Haridas Thakur to see him. Later, when Haridas Thakur went to Jagannath Puri, he lived outside the temple on the beach by the sea. A monastery has now been erected there known as Siddha Bakul Mat. People go there to see the tomb of Haridas Thakur. So Haridas continued to speak. Because I am the lowest among men, I shall not be able to see you. How shall I maintain my sinful life? Prabhu Kahe, Lord Chaitanya said, Kara tumi danya samvarna tomare danye tamora vyakula hayamana. The Lord replied to Haridas Thakur, please check your humility. Just by seeing your humility, my mind becomes very much agitated. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu assured Haridas Thakur that he would place a petition before Lord Jagannath and that he would certainly take him there to Jagannath Puri. So this is some interesting point here, that Lord Chaitanya, first of all, I very much appreciate humility, the quality of humility, which is very difficult to perform in this world, to be humble. It's very difficult. The world, at least Western world, is not meant for humble people. If you want to, when I was applying to university, I wanted to study a few years ago, 5-6 years ago. So I wrote, you have to write a letter of motivation. So I wrote a letter of motivation. And I sent to one devotee to look to it, to edit or whatever. And he said, Chasachi, this is terrible. I said, why? He says, this is too humble. I said, you cannot be humble. I said, what do you mean you cannot? Because then I wrote, I'm not, qualified, whatever. I wrote, I'm not qualified, devotee style. And he says, no, you cannot write this. You have to write how great you are in a humble way. So how am I supposed to write this? So I was then researching a little bit, and you basically have to praise yourself, how great you are, how you are a wonderful person, how you can actually achieve this. And this is just also when you write an application for job, you don't say, I'm not qualified, I am, just a lower than the worst worm in the stool. I studied this, but actually I don't remember most of this, what I studied, and my intelligence is weak. You cannot say this. You have to say, yes, I can do it. I'm smart. I'm great. So this is just one example. It's very difficult to be humble in this world, in particular in the West, or even in India now. India is also not the emblem of humility at the moment, because everybody wants to achieve. Because achievement, if somebody wants to achieve things, this is a mode of passion. And mode of passion means you attach to the result. You want to achieve things. You want to enjoy the fruit of your work. So you cannot be humble, because humble means Hare Krishna. If anything comes to me from Krishna, I will take. Imagine you go to a salary, and you say, yes, how much you expected to get monthly, and you said, or yearly. How did they ask? And you said, I'm just a servant. Whatever. I'm just your servant. Whatever you give, I will take. Nobody's. Can you say this? No. So this is what Haridas Thakur is actually. He's a very humble person, extremely humble person. So much so that Lord Chaitanya was very attracted to this humility, because he said, when you leave Navadvip and go to Puri, how will I maintain my life? Not possible. The devotee's mood is, without Krishna I cannot live. There's a one nice song, Goranga Tumi More Doyal Na Chadiha. You know this song? This is Bhaktivinoda Thakur's song. When Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, my dear Lord Chaitanya, please do not kick me away. Doyal Na Chadiha, be merciful to me. Doyal Na Chadiha. Chadiha means to kick away. Don't kick me away from your lotus feet. Because how will I maintain my life? If you lose Krishna, if you lose Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, how will we maintain our life? In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's a very instructive story of Chota Haridas. There's a devotee of Lord Chaitanya, who somehow or other was engaged in some kind of a, not so for us, not a big deal, but for Lord Chaitanya was a huge deal. He was conversing with some young woman, and he had apparently some lusty intentions or desires towards this woman. And Lord Chaitanya rejected him. Imagine Lord Chaitanya rejects you. So Chota Haridas did not know what to do, and he just went and killed himself. I thought it was, this is a very, very unusual pastime, you can say. There's some other unusual pastimes. The most unusual pastime for me in Chaitanya Charitamrita is the pastime of Gopinath Pattanayaka. I read this pastime over and over, and I just still kind of cannot understand it. Kind of, you can understand, but also very difficult to understand. Of course, every other pastime of Lord Chaitanya is not easy to understand. We think we may understand. But this pastime with Chota Haridas just killed himself. And then he was on a subtle plane, he was still singing kirtan for Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. For us, it's very important to know that this is the attitude of a devotee. If I don't have Krishna, what is the use of living? I have no reason to live. Imagine, we go now and work and eat some karmi food, buy in Lidl, and then this is it, and that's it. This is not, this is no life for devotee. So better not to live. So Haridas Thakur had this attitude, no, I cannot live without you. And he said, if you go, Lord Chaitanya said, no, you can also come to Puri. And Harida said, how can I come to Puri? I'm a low birth. And if we go to Jagannath Puri, me, as a Western white-skinned person, I will not be allowed to enter Jagannath temple. So why would I go to Jagannath Puri? Of course, there's a pastimes, Tota Gopinath is there, there's the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, Haridas Thakur, you can go to the Haridas Thakur place. Actually, you can go to the beach. And this beach is sanctified by the footprints of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And this beach is, Lord Chaitanya was bathing in this ocean, so this ocean is not an ordinary ocean. Ocean touched by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's body. So that's why we go to Jagannath Puri. Otherwise, if you're going to enter the temple, why would we go to Jagannath Puri at all? Indeed, Srila Prabhupada did not like to go to Jagannath Puri. They asked him, some priest or something, would you like to visit? And he said, no, you're not allowing my disciples to enter the temple. I also don't want to enter the temple. Which is an amazing thing, actually. That in the Ramayana, Lord Rama says, blessed is this master who never leaves the servant, and blessed is the servant who never leaves his master. So Prabhupada said, no, if you don't allow my disciples, I will not go to Puri. And Prabhupada actually never went after this, which is a great lesson of loyalty. We have to be very loyal. You know what loyal is? What is auf Deutsch? Wie sagt man auf Deutsch? Loyal. We have to be very loyal to a person who actually rescued our life. Not the old Prabhupada, some devotee distributed book. We came to the temple, and then we came a little bit of a devotee, and then we said, I don't like this. I go to such and such, Swami or Baba. This is very showing their bad character, low character, actually. Because we see even Prabhupada himself, who is a liberated Paramahamsa, who is a Shaktivesh avatar. He said, no, I'm not going to Puri, my disciples are not going, I'm not going. Amazing. So loyalty is very important in spiritual life. Because by being loyal, you can make advancement in Krishna consciousness. But not being loyal, you can still make advancement, but you will not make full advancement. Sometimes the electricity is 120, sometimes it's 110, whatever. But so if you do all these offenses and things like this, we cannot make full progress in Krishna consciousness. And we see this in the case of Srila Prabhupada himself, that he actually fully dedicated himself to the service of his Guru, and therefore he became Srila Prabhupada, you can say. Now it's glorified all over the world for the next 10,000 years. Glorified and being, huge samadhi. Who is going to build samadhi for me and you? I'm not saying for me and you, but people who did not follow Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur properly. We have a huge samadhi of Prabhupada. Every morning, your murti is worshipped in whatever, how many? 300, over 300 temples all over the world, or more. 600 temples all over the world. Every morning, somebody worships you alone. Imagine 600 temples. Now, when you speak right now, some puja is going on in Prabhupada, right now, somewhere. Shri Guru Charana Padma. Or somebody is reading about Prabhupada, or so many books are written about Prabhupada now. So many books. I was in Ras Bihari Lal in Vrindavan. There's a section of Prabhupada's books, like so many. Not Prabhupada's books about Prabhupada. Disciples and this and that. So many people wrote books about Prabhupada. And the reason is one only, because he was loyal to his Guru. So being loyal is a good quality, not bad quality. What is it? Sajjanas. Sajjana means your own people. So Krishna is Vishnujan, or these are the Vishnus. We are the Vishnu's people. Krishna's name is Vishnujan, so we are the people of Vishnu. So we stay by our man. We stay by Krishna. We stay by Prabhupada. We don't go anywhere else. So this is some lessons from this here pastime about Haridas Thakur and Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We read a little bit more and maybe finish. We just finished the volume here. After that, Advaita Acharya respectfully requested Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to show him mercy by remaining another 2 or 4 days. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu never violated the request of Advaita Acharya. Therefore, he remained in his home and did not leave immediately for Jagannath Puri. Lord Chaitanya's decision was received very happily by Advaita Acharya, Mother Shachi, and all the devotees. Advaita Acharya celebrated every day with a great festival. During the day, what is the great festival in the Hare Krishna movement? During the day, the devotees discussed subject matter concerning Krishna. And at night, there was a great festival of congregational chanting in the house of Advaita Acharya. So our festival is speaking about Krishna and having kirtan. And, next verse, Mother Shachi cooked with great pleasure. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, along with the devotees, accepted prasad with great pleasure. So this is how the Hare Krishna movement, this is what we do in the Hare Krishna movement. This is the festival for us. Talking about Krishna, singing Hare Krishna mantra, and eating prasad. That's it. This is it. We are not do anything else, anything extraordinary else. This is our festival. This is our main festival. Once they asked Gauradesh Babaji, who was very, very renounced person. He would live on the bank of Ganges, just sleeping on the ground. Imagine you sleep on the... I tried actually to sleep on the ground. Did anybody try to sleep on the ground? You did? For how long? How long? Like some time. Just nothing, just lay on the ground in the night. 15 years? Yogi ki jai. I tried actually like a week only. Because they thought, how the Rupa Goswami, how did they sleep on the ground? So I just went under a tree because Rupa Goswami slept on a tree, so I thought I should just sleep on a tree. Just like this in Gamsha, So because Rupa Goswami didn't have any clothes, he just had Gamsha, so I just slept in Gamsha on the ground. I woke up at 11:30. so I thought, this is why they didn't sleep much, because how can you sleep, So if you want to sleep less, this is the formula. We have some trees here in the park, Of course, police will ask you what you're doing. But, where was I? Gauradesh Babaji would sleep like this and eat sometimes he would fast all the time. He would just eat little handful of clay from the Ganges. Clay from the earth. That would be his food for the day. And he was a very renounced person. And once he had this one servant, one disciple, and then he said, today is Janmashtami. Today we'll have a great festival. And this disciple said, but Maharaj, we don't have anything. We don't have anything to cook. We don't have anything. How do we celebrate great festival, Janmashtami? And he said, and Gauradesh Babaji said, we will fast and chant the holy name of the Lord. So this is the festival in the Hare Krishna movement also. Fasting and chanting the holy name of the Lord. Srila Prabhupada there was one very interesting, I think it's in the Prabhupada Lilamrita, described how Prabhupada, for one Janmashtami in New Vrindavan, Prabhupada wanted to read whole Krishna book from the beginning to the end. So he was sitting on Vyasasan and devotees were reading, one by one, reading all day long. And he said the evening sannyasis would just fall, because who can sit all day long and listening? If you read, okay, but you listen all day long, it's kind of not easy. Prabhupada wanted to read the whole Krishna book in one day, in one Janmashtami. So this is the Hare Krishna festival. So here we see also that Advaita Acharya and the Kirtan, and we were just singing Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Doya Koro More. And the third line is Doya Koro Sitapati Advaita Gosai. Tava Kripa Bale Pai Chaitanya Nitai. He said, if you, O Advaita Acharya, if you're merciful on me, then for sure Lord Chaitanya Nityananda will be merciful. You know. So even if they are the most merciful, Patita Pavana Hetus, Tava Avatar, the most merciful of all avatars. You know, Lord Nityananda, Premananda Sukhi, Ha Prabhu Nityananda, Premananda Sukhi. The Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, most blissful and most merciful. But still, if Advaita Acharya tells them about me, they'll be more merciful. So this is the Advaita Acharya is also a very important person in our Sampradaya. So Advaita Acharya requested Lord Chaitanya, can you stay for a few days? And Lord Chaitanya, okay, I'll stay for a few days. We know in Chaitanya Charitamrita several times they tricked Lord Chaitanya, because the reason is not that they wanted to trick Lord Chaitanya, but the reason is that they could not bear separation from the Lord. When Lord wanted to go to Vrindavan, they couldn't now say, okay, see you, Hari Bol. So they made this trickery, Nityananda, he said, oh, this is you and Vrindavan, and this is Yamuna, although it wasn't Yamuna, and the whole thing. Because devotees could not bear separation. So Advaita Acharya also could not bear separation. He said, can you please stay 2 more days? So Lord said, okay, I will stay 2 more days. So this is what's going on. And Mother Sachi was cooking every evening. Imagine the cooking of Mother Sachi. This would be an amazing thing. Next verse. In this way, all the opulences of Advaita Acharya, his faith, devotion, home, riches, and everything else were successfully utilized in the worship of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Purport. Advaita Acharya set an ideal example for householder devotees in his receiving of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees in his execution of daily festival at his home. We're just talking about Grihastas a little bit today. If one has the proper means and wealth, he should occasionally invite the devotees of Lord Chaitanya who engage in preaching all over the world and hold a festival at home simply by distributing prasad and talking about Krishna during the day and holding congregational chanting for at least 3 hours in the evening. This is the formula of Prabhupada. We're just talking about Grihastas, how their duty is to actually give donation and to invite sadhus in their home. And this is, Prabhupada says, at least 3 hours in the evening. So invite some sadhus to your home and host them and have a kirtan, at least 3 hours. This procedure must be adopted in all centers of the Krishna consciousness movement. Thus, they will daily perform Sankirtan Yagya. In Srimad Bhagavatam 11.5.32, the daily performance of Sankirtan Yagya is recommended for this age. Yagya is Sankirtana Prayair Yajanti Hi Sumeda Saha. One should worship Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his 4 associates, the Pancha Tattva, by distributing prasad and holding congregational chanting. Indeed, that yagya or sacrifice is most recommended in this age of Kali. In this age, other yagyas are not possible to perform, but this yagya can be performed everywhere and anywhere without difficulty. So sometimes even devotees, they invite devotees to do yagyas, we just did first grace ceremony and so many different, like a fire sacrifice, homas. But here we said, this yagya is much easier to perform. Just chant Hare Krishna and invite the holy devotees who are actually preaching Krishna consciousness to your homes. Of course, they have to also agree to come. For that, you have to be very, accommodating. So the devotees, maybe they come once, but if they didn't like it, they will not come next time. So you have to be accommodating and welcoming. We see here, also in the Srimad Bhagavatam, when Krishna came to a village, there's these 2 devotees, they received him very, very nicely. There was a king and received him so nicely. And the other devotee is very poor. But he was so happy that here the Krishna is coming to his home. He took the shawl, he was jumping and waving his shawl. Krishna is coming, to my home. And they received Krishna very nicely. They offered him seat, they offered him water. There's not much to offer, but this is what they had. They offered everything to Krishna. So this is the point. We don't need to offer extraordinary anything, but just offer the guest feels a welcome. Because otherwise, sometimes you invite guests that you don't feel the guests don't feel welcome, so they will not come back. Hare Krishna. As Mother Shachi constantly saw the face of her son and fed him, her own happiness increased and was indeed complete. In this way, at Advaita Acharya's house, all the devotees met and passed some days together in a greatly festive mood. The next day, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu requested all the devotees to return to their respective homes. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also asked them to execute the congregational chanting of the holy name at their homes, and he assured them that they will be able to meet him again. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told them, "Sometimes you will come to Jagannath Puri, and sometimes I shall come to bathe in the Ganges." Sri Advaita Acharya sent 4 persons, Nityananda Goswami, Jagadananda Pandit, Damodar Pandit, and Mukunda Datta, to accompany the Lord. After pacifying his mother, Shachimata, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu submitted prayers to her lotus feet. When everything was arranged, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu circumambulated his mother and started for Jagannath Puri. In the house of Advaita Acharya arose a tumultuous crying. This is always very heartbreaking when Krishna or Lord Chaitanya leaves. As I said, how can devotees maintain their lives? This is not possible for a devotee. Like imagine one day we come here, there's no Krishna, no Lord Chaitanya on the altar, no Prabhupada, like now, no Prabhupada. I'm thinking, what's going on here? How can you, sing, or what are you going to do here in Mangalarti? There's no Lord Chaitanya. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was unaffected. He left swiftly and Advaita Acharya following, weeping. This is interesting. The Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was not affected by all this crying, he was not, because, why? Anybody knows? Why was Lord Chaitanya not affected? He is Bhagavan. One of the 6 qualities of Bhagavan is renunciation, meaning perfect renunciation. He is not attached. If he wants to leave, he leaves. He's not attached, because just to prove, not that he is cruel, but to prove that Lord Chaitanya is not an ordinary person. He's actually Svarat, he's self-sufficient. He does not need anything, he does not need anybody. It's only out of his causeless mercy that everything is there. And he agrees to be affectionate to his devotees. So, purport, as Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur explains, the word nirapeksha means not being affected by anything material and remaining fixed in the service of the Lord. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not very much care for the roaring tumult or cry at the house of Advaita Acharya, which he heard when studying for Jagannath Puri. Worldly moralists may criticize Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for being very cruel, but the Lord did not care for such criticism. As the world teacher of this Krishna consciousness movement, he actually showed that a person seriously engaged in Krishna consciousness should not be affected by worldly affection. The best course is to engage in rendering service to the Lord and to become callous, meaning don't care, to material objectives. Externally, everyone is attached to material things, but if one becomes entangled in such things, he cannot make progress in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, those who engaged in Krishna consciousness should not care for the so-called morality of the material world if that morality opposes the service of the Lord. As Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has personally shown, one cannot properly execute Krishna consciousness without being neutral. Next verse. After he had followed Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for some distance, Advaita Acharya was petitioned by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with folded hands. The Lord spoke the following sweet words. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "Please pacify all the devotees and my mother. If you become agitated, no one will be able to continue to exist." Saying this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced Advaita Acharya and stopped him from following him any further. Then without anxiety he proceeded to Jagannath Puri. The Lord with other 4 persons went along the banks of the Ganges through the path of Chhatrabhoga toward Niladri, Jagannath Puri. Purport. In the southern section of Eastern Railway in the district of 24 Parganas is station named Magrahat. If one goes to the southeastern side of this station, for 14 miles there's a place called Jayanagar. About 6 miles south of Jayanagar station is a village named Chatraboga. Sometimes the village is called Khadi. In this village is a deity of Lord Shiva known as Vaijurkanath. A festival takes place every year during the months of March and April. The festival is known as Nanda Mela. At the present moment of Ganges does not flow there. On the same railway line is another station known as Baruipur, and near this station is another place called Atisara. Formerly this village was also situated on the bank of the Ganges. One can go from this village to Panihati and from there to Varahanagar north of Kolkata. In those days the Ganges flowed to the south of Calcutta through Kalighat, which is known as Adiganga. From Buraipur, the Ganges branched out and followed through Diamond Harbour near the Mathurapura police station. It is to be noted that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu passed through all these places on his way to Jagannath Puri. So this is, although it's technical, what do we care about train station? This is important because in the future, when Krishna consciousness becomes big, when maybe take over the whole India, maybe after 2,000 years, we don't know. These holy places need to be, erected and recognized where Lord Chaitanya walked, because wherever Lord Chaitanya walked is a holy place. So all these places are very important to know. Nowadays, I think even some devotees even did this. They went to different places. So in his book known as Chaitanya Mangal or Chaitanya Bhagavat, Vrindavan Das Thakur has elaborately described the Lord's passage to Jagannath Puri. Purport. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur states that while Chaitanya Mahaprabhu passed through Bengal, he passed through Atisara Gram, Varaha Gram and Chatraboga. He then reached the Orissa province where he passed through Prayag Ghat, Suvarna Reka, Remuna, Yajapur, Vaitarani, Dashashvamed Ghat, Katak, Mahanandi, Bhuvaneshwar, where there's a big lake known as Bindu Sarovar, Kamalpur and Ataranala. In this way, passing through all these other places, he reached Jagannath Puri. If one hears the activities of the Lord at the house of Advaita Acharya, he will certainly very soon attain the riches of love of Krishna. So this is not, again, we read yesterday on the Srimad Bhagavatam, that hearing actually is the prime way to get love of Krishna in this age of Kali. By hearing Srimad Bhagavatam alone, we can actually get love of Krishna. So by hearing Chaitanya Charitamrita, we can get love of Krishna. But just by hearing, this is amazing. Achire Milaya Tandre Krishna Premadan. Premadan, the riches of love of Krishna. One will meet. And now the last verse, Shri Rupa Raghunatha Pade, Yare Ash, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Kahoy Krishna Das. Praying at the lotus feet of Shri Rupa and Shri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishnas, narrate Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita, following in their footsteps. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai, Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai, Shri Advaita Prabhu ki jai. Yes, everybody ki jai. So, fertig.